I designed the cover of my book, Collage, as a creative coaching tool myself, and like every collage, it tells a story. The creative process was, as always, playful, frustrating, fun, interesting, uncertain, thought-provoking, collaborative, insightful, and emotional. Now, while this image is very different to the final cover of my book, it formed the basis of the design. I created it years ago, and I did it then to reflect images as the language of the mind, and originally I wanted the book cover to reflect that same idea. So I started by playing around with that concept with a new set of images. I kept the idea of the head with its thoughts and the speech bubble, but this time I made the head a profile image and popped it outside of the bubble. I deliberately chose a pattern of stars to capture the immeasurable vastness of our unconscious, just like the stars. The gold is symbolic of the treasure I believe we all have within us. The internal thoughts here include archetypal images that frequently appear in clients' collages. The eagle, which holds its own strong symbolism, here represents all birds in flight and the sense of freedom that most people associate with this type of image. The tree is also significant as an archetypal symbol, and the musical notes reference the qualities of certain types of music to create a relaxed state and enhance access to unconscious thoughts. All the words you see, narrative, creative, change, etc., capture the process and the experience of coaching with collage. So here you can see I continued to move things around because I thought it felt top heavy and busy, and the story I was trying to convey was not coming across very clearly. I realised at this stage it wasn't just about images as the language of the mind. The idea was evolving to better capture the nature of the collage coaching technique. And with this in mind, I thought, okay, how about I move the speech bubble so the images are coming out of the person and enabling them to share their thoughts. The background and profile head are both now blue. I didn't want a white background, so I was just trying different colours. This was purely an aesthetic decision, as I wanted the book to stand out in shops. The head retains the stars, and the brain has moved from inside the speech bubble to on top of the head. This was a significant change. I really wanted to portray how our thoughts, experiences and memories exist in our minds as images, and through the process of coaching with collage, they surface visually, which enables verbal interpretation and meaning making to follow. If you look at the brain, there's a set of Allen keys. These surface as an old-fashioned door key. I did this to signify how the unconscious mind has a creative way of ensuring our inner thoughts find expression through the images available to us. The previously clean break in the speech bubble is more dramatic, with shattered pieces broken by the bird's flight as it metaphorically escapes the confines of verbal language. You may have noticed that the speech bubble has words on it. Before they were random from scrapbooking paper. But now I decide to use a section of a client's reflection from the book. So the act of breaking free also symbolises how collage stories help release us from what contains and holds us back, such as fear, guilt and shame, and in doing so empowers us to live with a greater sense of freedom from these feelings. In both cases, the bird embodies that freedom. Placed opposite and below the eagle, a falling astronaut reaches out, grasping for something to hold on to. These two images touch on how we can hold two often opposing thoughts or feelings simultaneously. I'm getting closer to the final cover. I wasn't overly keen on the brain attached to the head. It didn't feel or look right, but had been influenced by the first image I showed you, images as the language of the mind. After sharing my composition with the family, the suggestion was to move the brain above the head. And doing this and adding the 2 circles made it look like a thought bubble. I then outlined it with the same colour as the speech bubble. Doing this showed there's a connection between the 2 of them, and colour is often unconsciously used to show this connection, this type of connection, in clients' collages. The head is now back in gold, and while there are no stars, the texture looks like a volcanic eruption that is in fact water, and I love the energy, power and sense of movement that it evokes. This is the final design that appears on the front of my book. I scanned the original image and used digital software to soften and distort the border of the image of the brain to create a sense of pulsing. Inside the brain there is a strong light source evoking internal energy, so I chose not to cover this completely. For me, this is the nature of our unconscious mind, having a life force that goes unnoticed yet continually processes so much information. The butterfly is repositioned, breaking free with the eagle. Without doubt, the butterfly is the most common symbol of metamorphosis in clients' collages. The transition from caterpillar to butterfly is familiar and resonates deeply, reflecting the desire and hope of transformation for many who seek significant and meaningful life changes. Everything deliberately spills over the edge, including the eagle's wing. Nothing is contained within borders. You're left to imagine where the eagle and butterfly will go and what else resides in the person's thoughts. My intention here was to spark imagination and curiosity, key ingredients of creativity. If you look very closely or buy the book, you'll see I've been a bit self-indulgent. The signpost is from a magazine about Jamaica, so points to places I know, a subtle nod to my heritage. The aim of sharing my creative thought processes was to bring to life the story behind the book cover and the meaning it holds. You may interpret some of the images differently, and for me that is one of the joys of collage. We bring both shared and individual meaning to images. Thank you for listening.